If you're looking for the best value, long-range used electric car on the market right now, stop scrolling because this is it. You have found it, the Tesla Model 3. Nothing else comes close. But why is it such a good buy? And more importantly, what should you be looking at before parting with your hard-earned cash? Well, in this video, I'm going to break it down for you. Real-world range, battery longevity, reliability, warranties, and all the less glamorous but absolutely vital stuff that you need to know before committing. Oh, but before we do crack on, be a good egg. Click subscribe, it helps us out, it helps you out, and honestly, it just feels nice, doesn't it? Thanks. Now, before we kick off, if you are on the hunt for a used Model 3, do make sure you check out our listings on electrifying.com because we have all the info that you're going to need, including battery health checks. I mean, no one wants to buy an electric car and then find out that the battery has the stamina of a 2007 BlackBerry, do they? Anyway, it is time to talk range. One of the massive selling points when it comes to the Model 3. Now, don't know if you remember, but when it first launched in the UK back in 2019, it promised between 254 and 348 miles. And that was dependent on whether you went for the standard range or the long range. Now, the performance version then shaved off a few miles of that, well, because I guess fun comes at a price, and when we're talking electric cars, it's in electrons. Now then there was a 2020 facelift, which gave those figures a bit of a bump. The standard range plus went up to 267 miles, and the long range to 360, and the performance to 352. So all still very impressive figures. Now, if you are holding out for the latest Juniper Model 3, then there is talk of an official range of over 400 miles. I mean, that's the holy grail of family electric cars. Wow. Now, real world range is always going to be lower than those official figures, but the Tesla Model 3 is famously efficient. And when new, it would get close to those official WLTP ranges. In practice, we expect to see around 150 to 220 miles from the standard range and roughly 250 to 310 miles from the long range and performance versions. How you drive it, the route you're taking and the temperature can all affect real-world range. So do bear that in mind that these are only estimates. Expect lower range in the winter when temperatures drop and at faster speeds. So a constant motorway journey in very cold, windy weather is going to be a worst case scenario. The range is going to be drastically better in warmer weather and in slow to middling driving. Right, let's talk battery degradation, shall we? What a phrase. And it's not as dramatic as it sounds, but I do think it's the biggest worry when you're looking at a used EV. But there's some good news. In the Model 3, the battery will almost certainly outlive the car. Tesla's reputation for battery technology is pretty bulletproof. There are cars out there with hundreds of thousands of miles under their belts still going strong. Now, on average, I'd say you're looking at around 1.5 to 1.8% battery deg per year. Now, if you don't hammer the rapid chargers too often, you might even see a bit less. Here's a top tip. Ask the seller for a battery health certificate. And actually, if you are buying from one of our partners like Car 360, they will already have done the hard work for you with independent battery checks. Think of it a bit like an MOT, but for range anxiety. And while we're talking about range and battery degradation, we should mention charging. The standard range versions of the Model 3 charged a bit more slowly than the rest, but even they will do 170 kilowatts, which is still faster than a lot of other brand new EVs. Other Model 3s will hit 250 kilowatts, which is super fast. In fact, any Model 3 can manage a 10 to 80% rapid charge in some 20 minutes, which is really impressive. And they have access to the entire Tesla supercharger network, which is reliable and well placed on most main motorways. Plus, it's also the cheapest public charging network available. Even with other charge providers now offering great service across the UK, being able to use the supercharger network is still a huge bonus. Let's talk space, shall we? Because it is another strong point with the Model 3. Now, clearly this is a saloon. So if you are after ultimate practicality, well, something like a Polestar 2 hatchback might suit you better. But the boot's a decent size and you also get a frunk, of course. Quick note on colour while we are here. Now, until recently, white was the only free option. So if you fancied something a little bit more exciting, like a little luscious red to turn heads while cruising down the high street. That will have cost you about £2,000 extra when it was new. Now, that premium tends to stick around in the used market, so you can expect white ones like this to be cheaper, while other colours probably carry a £400 to £500 uplift. Right, when it comes to the interior, just take a good look around. Usually you can spot signs of wear and tear, check all the materials. Also, make sure you go for a long drive, because this is when you're going to be able to hear any sounds, any creaks, any strange noises that might alert you to something that is not expected. Also note that the interior comes in black or white. Now the white is very white, so again, just make sure that someone hasn't been wearing their blue jeans, the dye has just leaked onto the white seats, because that would be frustrating and really difficult to clean. Generally, I don't think this interior is as nice as the Polestar 2 and the BMW i4, but that's reflected in the price. The Model 3 is a really good car to drive, but we're not going to dwell on that here. Check out our full driving reviews on the channel for a deeper dive into how it drives. I think the long-range all-wheel drive is definitely a sweet spot and is the one I'd go for, but don't discount the rear-wheel drive models, as they are a bit cheaper to buy and there are plenty out there. I'm not that fussed about the full self-driving capability, which was a really expensive option and added semi-automatic lane changes and automatic parking functions. And it will push the price up of a used Model 3 if it's fitted. So I know what you're thinking. What actually goes wrong with a Model 3? I mean, honestly, it's not a huge amount. Most of the problems you're going to hear about are either cosmetic or software related, and they're not going to leave you stranded on the side of the road Googling, where is the nearest tow truck? Help! One thing to point out though is that servicing is all done through the Tesla app. It's slick, it's modern, unless of course you are one of those people who enjoys sitting on hold, listening to the beautiful sounds of Vivaldi while attempting to speak to a human. Having said that though, you do have to book the service via the app, and some owners have said that they find it a little bit tricky to schedule or speak to a specific dealership because everything does go through a central communication centre. Other things to watch out for. Suspension noises can crop up. Those bushes can sometimes wear out, especially if the car has had a hard life on pothole-strewn roads. Also, look out for panel gaps, paint imperfections, condensation in the light clusters can also be common on the earlier cars. But in Tesla terms, I mean, they're kind of known as character, aren't they? Other things to look for, make sure the tech still works. Autopilot, cameras, sensors. And do keep an eye out for some yellowing or bubbles on the main screen. In the earlier ones, it sometimes looked like someone tried to microwave them. Then you've got the reversing cameras on the older cars, which sometimes suffer from a little bit of dodgy wiring, and also the power tailgate had a few diva moments along the way too. But when it comes to battery and drivetrain issues, very, very rare. Our partners at Car 360 have solved thousands of Teslas and haven't replaced a single high voltage battery yet, which is good news because a new battery is not something you want to see on an invoice. Right, so that's basically the bulk of what you need to know, apart from running costs. Well, fueling it is going to be really cheap because the Model 3 is extremely efficient. So a full charge at home will cost between £4.50 and £25, depending on your utility costs, and also whether you're using a cheap overnight tariff. Now, the big one to be careful of is your insurance. The Model 3 is expensive to insure, and it's even a little bit pricier than alternatives like the Polestar 2. So do make sure you get a personalised quote before you commit, as that can be quite a big chunk of your running cost. As for the warranty, Tesla provides a 4-year unlimited mileage cover on the Model 3, while the battery is covered for 8 years or 120,000 miles. Now, there are aspects of the Model 3 that I just don't like. I mean, lack of CarPlay, how frustrating. No speedo behind the steering wheel, that gets to me. Ginny dislikes the fact that the later models have done away with the indicator stick for a button on the steering wheel. Annoying. And then, of course, we cannot mention the big elephant in the room, the image, the divisive founder. But for now, I think we just need to put that to one side. The value that the Model 3 offers for such a touring EV is hard to beat. It has an app with world-class capability, it's efficient, and it has access to the brilliant supercharger network. So maybe it's not a lovable car, but as a used buy, it doesn't half make a lot of sense.